Okay. All right. So we're going to look at solving systems of quadratic equations today. Okay. Okay. Systems of quadratics. So if you open it up, on this left-hand side, I've got systems of quadratics and linear. Okay. So that means I have a parabola and a line. Okay, a parabola and a line. So when you have a picture that's a parabola and a line, you can have no solutions. Okay, that's when the line and the parabola don't touch. Okay, you can have one solution where the line kind of comes up and it just hits your parabola and then keeps going off. Okay, or I can have two solutions where the line goes through the entire parabola, so it crosses it twice.
And the parabola is the graph itself.
Yes. Okay. So example number 1 says it wants us to solve graphically. So if it doesn't give you a picture, you would plug it into your calculator. Okay. I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay. So you can plug it into your calculator. If I'm solving it graphically, what am I visually looking for? Where they intersect. So here is 1 point. What is that point?
-3, 4.
-3, 4. So my first solution is -3, 4. And then you said 1, 0. Fantastic. Okay. So you can solve it graphically. Does everybody have their calculators?
Yes.
Okay. If you do not, please hurry up and grab your calculator so I can show you how to do this on the calculator. If you have not done so already, please clear out your calculator. Second plus. So -x, we're adding 1. And then we've got x squared. Whoops. X squared plus x minus 2. All right. Okay. Once you get your equations in, you're going to hit graph. So there's your line. Here's your parabola.
Mine does not look like that. Mine does the arrow. Mine does not.
I think it's because of our window. My max.
If you didn't clear out your calculator first, so your window's off.
She's calculating.
You're welcome. Okay. Anybody else?
What's the name?
It is an app.
What's the
Rabbit. Do you have an Android? Is that an Android? Give me a minute. I'll get it all downloaded and set up today. Okay. All right. So, in order to find your solutions to a system, you would go second trace, just like you would to find a min, max, okay, when we did all that with quadratics. But this time you're looking at where they cross. So you're looking for an intersection. So you want choice number 5. Either scroll down and highlight it and hit enter or hit 5. Okay, your little cursor pops up. In order to get your intersection, you want to go as close to the intersection as you possibly can by using left or right. Okay, so you're going to have to do this twice if it crosses twice. So here's your intersection. Once you get there, hit enter, enter, enter.
Oh, that's cool.
-3, 4.
Wow.
Okay, to get the other one, all you would do is hit second trace again. Again, choice number 5. And this time you would go over to this intersection. you've got to tell the calculator what intersection they want you to do. And you hit enter, enter, enter.
Question.
1, 0. Yes.
You know how you showed us the other way on the calculator with the quadratic or whatever we were writing before? To find like the vertex,
Minimax.
the minimax. Can we not use this method to like find that instead of going like going up?
No, you can't.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you have to do the to the left and to the right, or else it doesn't calculate it correctly.
Then why can't we do it on this one like the same way?
No.
You can, but what it does is it asks for first curve and then second curve. So it starts at your line. That's your first curve when you hit enter. Once you hit enter, it automatically jumps to your quadratic. Well, your quadratic's right there too, so it doesn't really move per se. So you don't need to move it. Okay. All right. So that's graphically. I can also do this algebraically. Okay. So I left all of the steps on what you need to do on the left. So it says, first, I need to substitute the linear equation into the quadratic. Okay. So this is equal to y, so I can replace y with this equation. So it's going to look like negative x plus 1 equals x squared plus x minus 2. Most of you are not going to do this algebraically. I will tell you this right now. Because when you get to your test, guess what? You got a calculator. How would you take your chances of doing this? Okay. Also, it's multiple choice. So what can you do with your answers even if you didn't have a calculator?
Smarter than the test.
Smarter than the test. So you take them and plug them in and see which one works.
I was doing that junk yesterday.
Smarter than the test. Smarter than the test. All right. In order to solve this algebraically, we now need to move everything to one side. I would like to keep x squared positive. So I'm going to keep everything on the left or on the right-hand side. So I need to move this x over here by doing what? Plussing, adding. Okay. I also need to move this 1 over. Subtract. Notice I put the x underneath the x because that's what it goes with when you add it. And I put the negative 1 with the negative 2 because that's what it goes with when we subtract. So now I need to solve. So my left side becomes 0. And on my right, I've got x squared plus 2x minus 3. Okay. Now you can solve this quadratic by any method that you would like. You can factor. You can use the quadratic formula. We can complete the square. Does not matter to me. This one's pretty easy to factor. So let's go ahead and factor it. So I'm going to draw your box. Okay. So here's x squared and negative 3 goes down here. I need factors of negative 3 then. 1 and 3. Okay, so either positive 1 and negative 3, because it's got to be a negative 3, or negative 1 and positive 3. They need to go together to give me a positive 2. It's the second one. So we've got negative 1x and positive 3x then. Okay, so let's pull out. What does x squared and 3x share in common? X. What does negative 1x and negative 3 share in common? Negative 1. What does x squared and negative 1x share in common? X. And what about 3x and negative 3? 3. So my factors are x minus 1 and x plus 3. It wants you to solve. So once it's in factors, your actual answers are opposite of what's in the parentheses, just like your transformation. So your x actually equals 1 and negative 3.
Wow. So 1, 0.
So it actually crosses at 1, 0 and -3, 0. I don't know which way it's going to give it to you. Both of those answers are correct. X equals 1 and -3, and 1, 0 and -3,
Can they
0.
just give you like one of the coordinates on the multiple choice and not both of them?
Absolutely not. If there's 2 solutions, they should give you 2 solutions. Okay?
If they don't, I'm telling Miss Smith.
That's right. You tell Miss Smith, she'll take it.
Take them down.
Take them down. All right. Let's move over to the middle ones. Okay. Systems of 2 quadratic equations. This time I have 2 parabolas. Again, I can have a no solutions where I've got an upward facing parabola and a downward facing parabola that don't touch. I can end up with 1 solution. When it's 1 solution, the vertex touches. Okay, or I can end up with 2 solutions where they overlap. Okay, so again, solve graphically. So I'm looking for where they cross. Where do these graphs cross? The vertex, which is point what?
1, -1.
1, -1. There's only 1 solution here. Okay. Solve algebraically.
That's a lot of steps for this.
Okay. Same process. So I've got this needs to substitute in here. Okay. So I've got x squared minus 2x equals negative x squared plus 2x minus 2.
And then you
Okay.
subtract x squared and
Okay, hold on. I would like to keep my x squared positive. Okay, it's easier to factor when it's positive. So instead of moving it to the right like we did the last one, if I move it to the left, it goes positive. So I'm going to add x squared. I need to move my 2x from the right to the left. So I subtract it. And my 2 also has to move.
+2.
So I add it. Okay, so when I do that on the left, the x squareds go together, so I get 2x squared minus 4x. And your 2 doesn't combine with anything, so it just comes down as +2. Okay, simplify and solve the quadratic by convenient method. So that means we need to factor or quadratic formula. What do you want to do with this one?
B.
X
equals.
Okay, so we want to do the quadratic formula. Okay, so that means I need my A value, which is 2. B is -4. C is 2. Okay, so it's negative. What goes first?
4.
-4. We got to plug in our B. Plus or minus the square root.
Of -4.
B squared, so -4 squared.
Minus
-4
4.
times A times C. Ooh.
Over 2A.
Okay, all over 2A. So 2 times 2. Okay, so we've got that -4.
4.
It becomes positive. Plus or minus the square root. We've got to get a number that goes in there. So what I want you to do is in your calculator, plug in just what's underneath the square root. Don't use the square root. So we've got -4 squared minus 4 times 2 times 2.
Minus 4.
0.
You should end up with 0. All over 4. Okay, so my discriminant is 0, which means I should have how many solutions?
1.
1. Okay, 1. Because again, when I add 0, it doesn't change it. When I subtract 0, it doesn't change it. So my final answer then is 4 divided by 4, which is 1. The answer is 1. That's it. X equals 1. They cross when X equals 1. Okay? They cross when X equals 1. Okay. So what I want you to do, I know it says solve algebraically. If you prefer not to do it algebraically, I'm not going to torture you and make you do it algebraically when you have a calculator in front of your face. Okay, so take some time. You've got 4 problems over here. You've got 4 problems on the back. I want you to try these 4 problems and find your solution. Okay, use your calculator. Get used to using your calculator. And then we'll go over them.
What's solve by graphing?
Okay. Solve by graphing just means they want you to graph it and find the intersections. Just like we did over here, except they gave you the graph. When it's solved by graphing, you just got to plug it into your calculator and find the intersections.
Oh,
That's all.
so we don't have to write the graph.
I'm okay if you don't draw the graph. Again, on your final exam, you're not going to draw any graphs. They're going to say, find the solution to the system. You're going to plug it into your calculator, find the intersections, and pick an answer. Okay. So try these ones. We will go over it. Okay. I'm also, at this point, going to pass out your homework. That way, if you finish that, before I start to go over it, you can start on your homework. Now listen, your homework says to do it algebraically on one side and do it graphically on the other. Again, you don't want to do it algebraically. Graphically is absolutely fine with me, which means there's no work.
Yay!
Okay, no work. So I'm going to pass this out. If you finish those, please start on this while you still have a calculator.
Do we have to draw the graph?
No, I'm okay if you don't draw the graph.
And then this goes on to page 67, right?
Yes, this will put it on page 67.
She just wants us to find it. Yeah. Are you putting
Yes, I did. Okay. Yes, you are right. 1, 2, 3.
There you go.
Yes, Annie.
When you run your
Four.
expired, you get rid of the square.
Uh-huh. When you subtract like terms, you keep the like. Rebecca, I told you that I opened that for you, right? 3, 4.
Oh, can you download the thing on?
Yes, I'm gonna do that here in 1 second. Okay, apparently I'm really not making enough copies. I need to go make another copy real fast.
What if they don't intercept?
Then there's no solution.
So we just put no solution?
Yep. If they do not intersect, your answer is no solution.
Did you get one?
Did you do Pythagorean theorem? Yeah. Because you know you're gonna use that. Or it's on my class.
So every time I don't know, it was like with like Julian playing Quadratic, whenever you saw you like flowers, who did
Because maybe Julie finished his work while you were having.
finished like weird.
Did he do it? Was Cody playing for it? No. Have you seen Jason's keyboards?
They're just no solution.
Have you seen Jason's keyboards?
There's your guys' too.
Oh.
Someone come. No. What's that? He only uses up.
How do we glue? Are we gonna glue anything in the
You're-
back?
No, you're not writing anything on the notes section of it, so you can just glue the notes in.
When I was like, where do you live?
Mo, let me see your phone. It's locked. Let me just unlock it. I don't want to know your passcodes.
It's a fingerprint.
Oh, mine is too.
Same.
I don't like playing all of that. What do you need to go to?
I need to go to your Google Play Store. I see it.
See it.
I got you. All right. Play Store. I need to go to Reddit. Email.
Wait, what is that?
So-
Oh, we have to
Oh, yeah, the
practice
virtual
too?
calculator, I guess.
Do we have a?
There should have been 6 problems you should have done in your notes. Okay, please make sure you do all 6.
So do we do the square root? Or do we do -10 plus the square root
You would do
of,
-10 plus the square root of that number.
and then
Yes.
get that number and then do divide by?
Yes.
So -10 plus the square root of 1.
So when you want to find this one,
No, just get what's inside, so 196. So 196 will go here,
What do you get for number one?
all over.
So
So now, when you do your 2 solutions, it'll be -10 plus the square root of 196. Hit enter, and then divide by 4. And then do the same thing, subtraction. There you are, my friend.
Oh my god.
You need to adjust your window. You know how to adjust your window if you need to see higher.
Whoops, that's troubleshoot.
We change that.
Troubleshooting.
Go back to graph.
Did you get on number one? You did 1 and 4 before 1.
It's also gonna cross somewhere over
I got 1 and
It's
4.
1 and 4 and 4.
here. So we need to go even higher. So I go.
Wait.
You distracted the hell
Dang,
I just did 100.
What is that?
we just did 100.
What you guys say?
Dang, this one doesn't even work. We tried 50.
Let me see. I think
1 million.
Did you
I got
get
five
one
and
and then
five.
the
I got 1 and -9
Is that it?
Not really.
America.
Dang,
and
that's insane.
I did it algebraically and I got 1
I have all the other ones.
and -10.
I don't know why I did that.
He
You
got
got
one.
one, okay. So what I did,
I think which one
I got,
that's me. Hold on.
so when we got these, 1 and 3, or -3, we shouldn't have made them here. We should have plugged them back into here to get your answers. So, guys, let me stop you all for a second because I messed life up. Okay, again. Story of my life. So, these are wrong. Your 1, 0, -3, or 0 is wrong. Okay, so when you need to find your points then, when I get x equals 1 and x equals -3, you then have to take those values and plug them into one of your equations to get the actual points where they cross. So you would have taken 1 and plugged it in. So I'm going to use -x. So I'm going to plug in 1 here plus 1. That was the first equation from the top. Okay, that's where I got that from right here. Okay, so when you plug that in, -1 and +1 gives me 0. So this one is at 1, 0. But then when I plug in -3 plus 1, that's +3 plus 1, which is 4. So it also crosses at -3, 4.
So we've been
Okay.
getting it wrong.
It's not that we did it wrong. Those aren't, when you factor those are not on your x-axis. Those are your x values that need to be plugged in.
We always gonna have a calculator, so it's.
So if you did it graphing on your calculator, you're fine. So Mo, your last step then would be to take these numbers and plug them into one of those equations and get your y value. Okay. So you did it absolutely fine.
So,
Okay, why did you wait like 15 minutes to just tell me that? Ah, Kevin.
Dude, weren't you like grabbing it while like Come on.
You can't like, I can't fix anything if you don't say anything to me. Crazy. Crazy. Okay.
Then I got negative 6 and
1, 2.
My batteries are low too. Do you want to fix it before it goes off on me? It's still working.
Run them until it's is negative.
and we plug both of these.
Okay, does that mean you don't have any batteries either, or is there batteries in it?
No.
Yes, because I haven't taken my other thing because I need to take this.
Oh no, there's actually batteries in yours, okay. There's actually batteries in yours. Yes, my dear.
I'm not gonna get that.
It's called
No,
Wabbit.
I have it on my phone. Play Store. I'm so sorry.
And it's Rabbit, but with a W.
Alright.
Love it.
Where's my mom?
Install. Yep. It's completely free.
Where my mom?
Taser stuff.
Oh wait, I was the one.
I do not blame you. I would not be getting a membership either on it.
Especially when it's free.
Right. Why pay for something when I can get it for free? Right?
Yeah. Yes, but.
Keep wasting.
I was gonna say so.
So.
Leave it sit for a minute and I should be able to get you.
I'm not doing good this year. How would you feel if? How would you feel?
Because you put -4 instead of a negative. You can't put -4, you gotta put negative.
Okay.
All right. Guys, what did we get for number 1 on the practice? Number 1. Make sure you're on number 1, not number 4. Okay. It should be the folded page back.
I got one.
I got 1 and 4 and 4 and 1. 1 and 4, 4 and 1. Okay. Did anybody get number 2? 5 and 5. If you did 4 and 1 and then 1 and 4, it's still the same thing. Okay. Number 2 should have been 5 and 5. It only crosses once. Right? It only crosses once. And finally, number 3. Did anybody get number 3? Oh, but there is.
What? No, there's not.
Yes, there is. Hold on. I promise you, there's solutions. So let me clear this out. So that should have been x minus 5. And down here, this should have been x squared minus 5x. That's why I'm pulling it up here.
Mine don't look like that.
Plus 5.
Which one you put this?
Graph. So there's your line.
One is five.
Here's your parabola.
Yeah, you-
Wait a second.
It doesn't touch.
Told you.
Their graph is not right.
Your graph is very right. Your graph is wrong.
That's they got a graph on yours. They ain't graph nothing on mine.
Oh, that's why. Because they changed it to a -5 instead of a +5. No, you're right. This should be no solution. Right. No solution. No solution.
Smart.
All right.
Smart guys.
No, look what they did. Look what they did. I'm not kidding. So, you see the original equations where it's +5, right? When they went to solve it, what'd they do? They changed it to a -5. So, that's human error. You just fix the error. All right?
What do we plug, glue this one into?
67. Okay. Number 4. What did we get for number 4?
-4.
I got -1 and -1 and then 1.
You got -1 and -1 and 1 and -5.
Oh, okay.
-1, -1 and 1 and -5.
For the first one, I got -2 and 4.
Is this one wrong too? Hold on. Again, let's double check and make sure because obviously some things have been going wrong here. So we've got -x² minus 2x. This is why I need you guys to question if I tell you something because I go off of what they tell me. So if they're wrong, I don't go back and check it. Hold on. -4. Whoops, I don't want to hit second. I just want to graph. Okay, so you should have had 2 solutions here. Second trace, intersection. I want this one first. Enter, enter, enter. So there's -1, -1. Okay, there's -1, -1. Second trace, again, number 5. I'm going to move down to this intersection now. Enter, enter, enter. And 1 and -5. Okay. So this one was correct.
We don't have to graph that one, right? What page does it go on?
67. If you would wait until I go over this, I will tell everybody.
1 and -1.
Okay. Y'all are jumping ahead of my game here. What did we get for number 5?
Was it -1 and -1?
Yes, -1, -1, and 1 and -5. What did we get for number 5? Okay, so you said 1 and what? 1 and 9, and -6 and 2? 72. Woo! Oh, that was the one that was way, 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 way up there. Okay. You had to adjust your window for this one. You really had to adjust your window for this one. Okay. Okay. What did we get for number 6? No solution. This one should have not crossed. No solution. Okay. All right. If you have not glued this in, it glues in on page 67. Okay, 67, my friends. Oh, you're using the school Wi-Fi. That's why it's taking forever.
I'm not using mine.